Welcome back to another episode of the Jarring Science Club. I'm your host, Brenda, and today we're going to be learning about the life cycle of apple trees, as well as inherited traits versus external factors that can influence how an apple tree grows and lives. For today's experiment, you're going to need 2 jars and some cotton balls, an apple and a knife, some glitter, and at least 1 lid. The first thing we're going to do is explore the parts of an apple and learn a little bit about the inside of an apple. Next, we're going to do a pollination experiment to learn about apple reproduction. All right, let's get to it. I've zoomed in a little closer so we can explore the inside of an apple together. Apples are the fruit of the apple tree. They are basically the carrier for the offspring of an apple tree. When you cut into an apple, you have several different parts. You have the stem, you have the flesh, you have the core, the seeds. This part is what once was the flower. Apple seeds are protected by this little plasticky feeling core that keeps the seeds safe. Apple seeds are small and brown. You definitely should not eat them. The inside of an apple seed looks like this. Each apple seed has an external hull that's protecting the seed inside that will germinate into an apple tree. Apple seeds are very interesting because they require a dormancy period. If you plant these apple seeds straight out of the apple, they're not going to grow. They must lie dormant in a cold environment for at least 30 days in order to be ready to germinate. But once you go through the germination process, they will sprout just like any other plant. You can do that in potting soil, or you can do that between 2 damp paper towels and get the sprout going that way. The white flesh of this seed is what produces the new apple seed sprout. Now we're going to do our pollination experiment. Get your jar with your cotton balls. The cotton balls represent the flowers of the apple tree. The glitter represents the pollen in the flowers. I'm going to coat our flowers with pollen. Now we have pollinated flowers. Now I'm going to act like a bee. This glittery cotton ball is our bee. We're going to take her over to this new unpollinated apple tree flowers, and she's going to pollinate these flowers. We're going to drop our cotton ball in there, and then we're going to shake it up and see how many flowers we pollinated. All of these cotton balls are also pollinated. Can you see the tiny specks of glitter on them? That means that each of these flowers would now have the potential to grow into an apple and then also an apple tree. Without the pollination process, the apple tree could not produce fruit and it would not be able to complete the life cycle. Pollinators are a very important part of the apple tree's life cycle. Without the help from pollinators like bees and other insects, apple trees couldn't complete their life cycle. Some pollinators can influence the traits of an apple tree by mixing one variety of pollen from one apple with another variety of another apple. This might create apple hybrids that create new flavors of apples. This is an inherited trait that is also influenced by external factors. For today's experiment, you're going to want to make sure that you complete the life cycle worksheet and the supporting paperwork in your lesson guide. You can learn more about inherited traits and the apple life cycle. That's it for today. See you next time. Here's the science. Today you learned about the life cycle of an apple and traits that are inherited versus changes in an apple that can be affected by external factors. All living things follow a pattern of life. There's birth, growth, reproduction, and death. All living things follow this pattern. Apple trees also follow this pattern. First they are a seed, then they're a sapling, then they grow into a tree, then the tree produces fruit and flowers for reproduction, and then the tree eventually dies and the cycle starts over. The way that apple trees reproduce is through pollination. Bees, butterflies, other insects take pollen from apple trees and then carry them from one flower to another to pollinate. Our experiment with the glitter in our cotton balls in the jars kind of illustrated how pollination works on a small scale. We also examined the parts of an apple. There are certain traits of any living creature that are inherited. For apples, inherited traits can include things like the color of the apple, the flavor of the apple, what variety of apple it's going to be. Apples can also be influenced by external factors. These are things like where the apple is planted, how much light it gets, whether it's a well-pollinated tree or not, wind, rain, how much moisture the tree has. These are external factors that can make an apple tree different from the other seeds that come in the apple that it comes from. So we would consider these to be a certain apple tree's siblings. So there are certain external factors that will change how the apple will grow, but the inherited traits are things that won't change no matter what external forces are exerted onto the apple. The patterns of birth, growth, life, and death are going to be the same no matter where the apple is planted. If you want to see if you can grow your own apple, take a few apple seeds, put them between the layers of a paper towel, moisten the paper towel, put it in a plastic bag, then put that plastic bag in the fridge for 30 to 45 days. This is the amount of dormancy period that an apple seed needs before it can sprout. After the dormancy period, you can then plant your apple seed in a cup of soil. Once your apple seed sprouts, you can place it in your yard and see if you can get it to grow. That's it for today. See you next time.